Who was Chinggis Khan? Born of the nomadic steppe to Lady Horlun and Yasuke Bahadur, the leader of the Khamag Mongol, which was a loose confederation of Mongolic tribes. Temujin was born, according to some sources, clenching to a blood clot the size of a knucklebone, which in Mongolian culture and folklore represents a person's right to rule and their destiny to conquer their enemies. However, when Temujin was rather young, Yasuke Bahadur was murdered, leaving his family to fend for themselves, as they were abandoned by the rest of the Khamag Mongol. They led a rather harsh life in the nomadic steppe, until Temujin had met with Jamukha, who would later become his blood brother. Temujin and Jamukha would later ally with Ögedei Khan in order to rescue Temujin's wife Korte from the Merkit tribe. Due to the intense rivalry of the nomadic steppe, each leader was vying for power and sole rulership over the entire steppe. Years later, Temujin and Jamukha would go to war with one another, facing defeats and victories, inflicting heavy casualties on both sides. But this ended with Temujin overcoming Jamukha as well as Ögedei Khan, becoming sole ruler of the steppe. And at a Kurultai held later, he was proclaimed formally as Genghis Khan, ruler of the Mongols. After consolidating his power, Genghis Khan had begun campaigns against the Western Shah dynasty, subduing the Tangut-led empire and forcing them to pay tribute. He would later go on to conquer the Jin dynasty. After attaining massive portions of the Silk Road, Genghis had begun his campaigns into the Khwarezmian Empire, as they had murdered his ambassadors, which in Mongolian culture is tantamount to an act of war. The invasion of the Khwarezmian Empire was one of the most devastating campaigns of Genghis Khan. It ended up with cities of Bukhara, Samarkand, and the entirety of Khorasan falling to Mongol rule. Genghis Khan would return later on to China to continue his campaign against the Jin dynasty and the remaining Western Shia rebellions. However, in 1227, Genghis Khan had died under mysterious circumstances. Some sources say that he had fallen off of his horse, and some say it was due to an illness. When he first ascended and became Genghis Khan, his state was this size, and by the time of his death, it was this size. His sons Jochi, Chagatai, Ögedei, and Tolu would later on become Khans in their own right, each of them owning parts of the Mongol Empire that their father had conquered, with their descendants later on becoming dynasties in their own right. As of today, he is renowned for his military capabilities and is also revered and feared across the known world due to the devastation that was caused in his conquests. He himself believed that he was destined by Tengri above to conquer the known world, and despite the controversy due to the ruthlessness of his campaigns, he is celebrated today in Mongolia as the national founder. Please leave a like if you've learned and follow for more.